A very good evening. This is greetings from the tropics and also to the tundra. But here in the tropics today is a very, very, very auspicious day because it is also a time that is also turned from the Vijaya Dashmi, which is a complete transformation from where we can accumulate a lot of crud, or we can begin to observe the nature of the crud and vanquish it, wash it away. So all these various characteristics fall under the umbrella over the next 21 days across Bharat is a time of Dasara and Deepavali, celebration of light for the next 20 days after today. And the purpose of that is also to give the phasing, 21-day phasing, that completely negates any aspect of incoherence. Some call it evil, some call it various other terms. In principle, it is incoherence. So, greetings. My name is Krishna Madappa. I'm the president and co-founder for the Institute of Science, Spirituality and Sustainability based in Taos, New Mexico, the US. The driver to the basis of our institute was a very strong inspiration from dear Nicholas Roerich, who back in 1930s wrote a treatise called the Roerich Treatise that was signed by the President Roosevelt in the US and 21 other heads of states, and now India, Bharat is also included. And the purpose is one, and that is, irrespective of war, irrespective whether there is peace, the utmost ideal of human potential is to be fostered. And this fostering is to be conveyed through all the realms in society, through art, through spirit and science. Well, we can call it the holy science, which as many great sages of this wonderful nation of Bharat proclaimed and related and transmitted till that phasing began to get deconstructed to the kind of model that we are observing today, that is creating it is all self-consumption and self, not destruction, but rather if there is incoherence in one being, it's one too many. So my dedication that has continued to foster and grow, I would say probably through the entire duration of time that this guy has been on this planet, this historical lifetime, has much to do right from the seedings when he was in the gestation period in his mother's womb, where recitations from sutras from the Rig Veda, from the Gita, were continuously pronounced, as we understand that to understand the nature of life, as was a deep understanding from Nicholas Tesla and also dear Einstein. If you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Well, if we take that to its essential characteristic, what do we see? We see if there is a drop that is dropped, and let's look at that as a thought. In the mind, one drop that is dropped into the field of the mind causes a ripple. Till then, there could have been just stillness. But the moment there is a ripple, that ripple begins to not only transform in the upper surface, but it also continues all the way down. However, this has another very deep implication, which is what we seed, we also foster. So dear Swami Vivekananda, a proponent who saw the utmost ideal for the development of the human, said heart is a very good fertilizer. Anything we plant, whether it is love, whether it is hate, fear, hope, revenge, jealousy, surely grows. And of course, it will end up bearing fruit. So we need to decide what we want to harvest, isn't it? And of course, at the highest ideal of this is the transmissions of dear Ramana Maharishi, Ramana Maharishi. Camphor is what we use in burning and offering. So when camphor is used, so here's the transmission. After the camphor burns away, no residue is left. The mind is the camphor. When it has resolved itself into the self, without leaving even the slightest trace behind, it is realization of the self. So when we reflect upon what is that great realization of the self, let us come to the basic fundamentals. And the basic fundamentals is when it comes to water. Water, our most sacred substance of the universe. What we are observing here is a drop of water from a river called the Bhavani River here in the south, like the Kaveri, and in the north as the Ganga, and all the magnificent rivers that ultimately flow to the oceans that is part of one cosmic ocean, of which we are all such an integral part. So Krishna's research through the founding of the Nicholas Roerich treatise is a fostering where there were ambassadors of peace that were presented with this wonderful honorarium, reflecting their contribution to science, contribution to spirit, and contribution in art. So Krishna has been endowed with one of these wonderful honorariums in Buenos Aires through the annex of the government of Argentina. So what the immersion here is the understanding that we are all energy. And this fusion of energy is a charge that permeates through our system so vitally, so vibrantly. And this is essentially the design and the development of what Krishna has been fully immersed in over the last 20, 25 years in exploration with a very dear friend and colleague from St. Petersburg, Russia, a lovely, lovely human being, biophysicist, mathematician, dear Konstantin Korotkov. And Konstantin and myself go back to this time period, and over almost 25 years, bioelectrography. And this science of bioelectrography is able to gather data from all the 10 fingers. And from all the 10 fingers, as we see right here, we gather data. So whether this is the thumb, the forefinger, middle finger, right, continuing all the way to every little finger is given sectors, and in each one of the sectors, you have cascades of data pertaining to every sector that pertains to every organ system, whether it's on the left-hand side of the body, whether it's on the right-hand side of the body, and a mass informational network is provided. Well, this has been the dedication of dear Konstantin, and then over the years, we have all collaborated, and through these collaborations, much has been fostered. Why? For the ultimate development and transformation of human from body of matter to body of light. Sri Aurobindo, during a time period in the 1920s, provided a transmission. And this transmission was that let us awaken from the ignorance of mind, ignorance of matter, ignorance of life, transform this nature of life by developing the supramental mind. And through the nature of the supramental mind, dissolve from the ignorance of mind, matter, and life, transform it and create a brilliant life here. Well, this is the essence and dynamic of what inspired not only Roerich, but also it has continued on through the millennia in civilization. What do we gather when we look at all this information? Not only what we are looking at as energy fields, we can look at chakras, and this particular one was the case study of a young lady who is going through many a crisis. And so we did a application of castor oil in the liver, as wonderfully fostered by dear Dr. Edgar Casey, the sleeping mystic. Also during that similar time period in the 1920s, 1930s, and this publication that was put together by dear Dr. William McGarry, and also a very dear friend and colleague, Dr. T.M. Srinivasan, who was an advisor to the Association of Research and Enlightenment. So the application was castor oil, and castor oil had miracles and wonders that it did. And among the miracle and the wonders that it did, let me just show you what took place. Not only does inner perfection foster, because the left is the pre-condition, castor oil was applied, the referencing of the application of the castor oil, where you can see the balance of the energies. Organ systems, like the liver, are all contained inside this third chakra. And the third chakra has many applications. As you can see, it is direct application to stomach, pancreas, liver, solar plexus, but it also has functional manifestation of self-expression, affirmation, courage, emotionality, guile, fear, and all those. So castor oil applied on the liver. Well, let's take a look and see, just as a quick little snapshot. Number 5 is what we call the energy of the liver, left side and right side. The green band is a normal zone. This beige band on the right is a hyper zone, so it has to function excessively hard. Now, all this, don't forget, we are conveying all this under the umbrella. To understand the nature of energy, we need to understand frequency and vibration. So all that we are looking at is frequency and vibration. We are measuring frequency, vibration nodes between left and right hemispheres, left and right parts of organ systems, across an entire ecosystem that is not termed as the human body, but it is termed as a human energy field. This, I'm just going to give you little slight examples. So this was after having applied the castor oil, and you see it has dropped. It has both come to the green zone, and the following, all this over the 3-day period, 5, we see that is much more harmonized. So these are just slight examples from where huge data sets can be gathered, like this chart that gives you the stress. On the top, we call it emotional pressure, the energy in the system, and you can see they're all coded, so we know what is optimal. Symmetry between left and right brain, symmetry between organs of the left and right. All that contained into one snapshot. And this snapshot is the overarching, encompassing arena that we call energy, based upon frequency and vibration, as we spoke. So let's cite some examples here. So we bring this into application for life in human. It is towards human wellness, because that is all there is. When we are awake from the inside, the rest follows. So when we burn the camphor from the mind, we are in total unity with the self, which is a state of stillness. So as one great adept said, do nothing and accomplish everything. To some, this may take lifetimes to comprehend, not from here, but to the entire field. But eventually, to everyone, in everyone's life, this is the destination. So we bring this into application, as you saw a slight example in the human energy field, and now we bring it into nature. So we can see the application of such because we address water here. So when we address water, we see how water is the principle that underlies all of life. And so this is a tomato that is obtained from the market. It's a tomato. It's got the colors of a ripe tomato. And what we observe here is the inner areas where is in the pulp, so the very structure of the tomato itself. And you can see that these areas seem to be depleted from life force. Now, what does that look like when we look at a biophoton signature of that? So when we look at a biophoton signature, it looks like this one. So here we are. So we can see that it is bright. It is bright, but these areas that were white, you see, are empty space. So those are all the white zones. So just to give you a little carry over to that space, you see, those white zones were all now completely here. Still bright, it still has life. Now, we did something to the water, meaning that we evoked the potential of the water because we developed systems that are used in agriculture. And so when we infuse them into agriculture, and we see that these tomatoes that were grown under these waters that we call biodynamic waters, what do we see in that same space? There is higher level of content, which means there are sugars that are in there. Then when there are sugars, there is life. So what does that look like? So when we look at that signature, now we begin to see, let's magnify that a little more. We see a very harmonious, almost an hexagonal structure. See, this is the nature of water and the work that dear Masaru Emoto has done over the years. God bless his divine soul. His coherent bonds, coherent structures create that which enhances the quality of life. Not only was the tomato sweeter because of the level of sugars, but it also had richer nutrient content versus the one that was commercially grown. Now, we consume this food because what we eat is energy. And what is energy? A frequency and vibration. Ultimately, what is everything that we take in? It's light, is it not? So this short little clip that we have done is just to take you into a journey of the broader comprehension that we are energy, light, information systems. We are surrounded by energy, light, information systems, and our neurophysiology is coupled to this unified elegance of nature. So over the next many sessions, I will guide you on this magnificent journey through science, through the mystic of art and spirit and soul, so that we collectively live in inner harmony. And when there is inner harmony, we can begin to foster outer harmony. So in all aspects of what we are immersed in all levels of action, no matter what our fields are, what our professions are, the intention is one, is to see the highest and the best, not only for oneself, but for all living systems who are here, who have been, and who are to be. Aho, namaste, and love to all of you, and brilliance.